have come here to chew bubble gum and kick ass. And I'm all out of bubble.
Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children of all ages, welcome to the Bloviating Zeppelin's Berserk Bobcat Saloon radio show, live and direct right here on the SHR Media Network. You got a belly up to the bar, we've kept your seat, it's great to see you back. Flack bait is going to be your bartender tonight. He pours with the best of them, and the lava lamp is in fact lighted to my left, your right, indicating that you can listen and chat at shrmedia.com. You can watch the show live on the SHR Media Facebook page and YouTube channel. That's why it's there, as a reminder that occasionally it does something. We don't water our drinks just like we don't water our conversation. Politics, religion, crime, culture, economics, race, sex, science, law, we talk about it all here at the saloon. Nothing is sacred, the speech is free, but the booze is not. All that we ask is that you flush the damn toilet, jiggle the handle. Don't forget to tip your waitress. Tonight, it's a special young man who hasn't been in the saloon for a while, because frankly I didn't think that he was going to be around anymore, and apparently he is going to be. And that would be Dan Butcher. He's going to be here all night, so he and I are going to have a tete-a-tete about a veritable host of stuff. And I haven't seen him in a while. Now, he last put out that there was he was going back to the High Plains Pundit radio, and that he was going to be on the air Monday through Friday. And I thought, okay, because essentially what was going to happen is he broadcasts at the same time I do. And that would be, let's see, 8 p.m. here is 10 p.m. Central, which is where he is in Texas. And for those of you on the East Coast, it's 2303. In military terms, and for those of you in Bolivia, it's 1795.723 decimal and then subdecimal 4 par 7 in Bolivian time. I always mention that because Bolivian time, for whatever reason, is just a little bit different than anything else. I have no idea why. That's just, go ask the Bolivians, for God's sake. Welcome to the folks in chat already. Mike John Pasqua is in chat. Dave Milner's in chat. Mary Brockman is in chat. Beantown Billy is in chat. Now, when you say Beantown, are you meaning Baston? I think that's what Beantown is. I'm pretty sure. Judge Janine in Monday, August 6th. Okay, what does that mean? Judge Janine is where? Mary Brockman, is she going to make an appearance? I'd love to have, if you have an inside thing, or if you know her, send her to the damn saloon. I would love to talk to Judge Janine. Can you imagine what a hoot that would be? Mary Brockman said Ken's guest. Did Ken get Judge Janine Pirro? Oh my God. I hated Ken before. There was a lot of hate. I radiated hate for Ken. Now, if he's actually getting Judge Janine, if you thought I hated Ken before, the hate now is absolutely, it's geometric and unmitigated. There may or may not be a special guest later on tonight here in the studio. I have my fingers crossed just in case. Right now, what you're looking at, if you happen to be looking, is, okay, here we go. Let's see if this is working. Dan, is that you, sir?
Hey, BZ, can you hear me?
I sure can.
All right. Hey, we may have this technology thing figured out, and hey, baby, they won't interrupt us every 5 minutes.
Oh, God. Jeez. Okay, well, all right. For those not aware, by the way, this is Dan Butcher. He of High Plains Media, High Plains Pundit Media, my apologies, the owner thereof. And what Dan is referring to is not that long ago. See, there's something about the telephone and the SHR Media studios. They are just not simpatico in any way, shape, or form. So initially, Skype was working wonderfully for me for about a year, and we had the 282 number, and that was working great. And then, for whatever damn reason, Skype tanked. Skype just decided to put a white hot rebar right up my butt. So Skype didn't work anymore. So then, over here, you can't see it, there's a 1-800 number on this digital phone that Sackhead's co-owner, Sackhead Sean, keeps telling me that, hey, I'm going to plug that in. It can do conference calling. It can wash your clothes as well. And it's probably, I think it's VoIP, which is Voice over Internet Protocol. But it can do everything. So I bought the phone. It's sitting over there, and nobody knows how to make it work. And I called the phone. It's an 800 number. Dan might enjoy this. I call the 1-800 number, and Sean set up a menu. If, this for 1, this for 2, this for 3. And I kept thinking, okay, what happens if I just want to get on the fucking show? Okay, I don't want to wait. What happens if I just want the dude at the other end of the phone to pick up the damn phone and say, hi, welcome guest, you're on? No, it gives me about 75 buttons to push and a range of stuff, and then it plays music. Jesus. Okay, so then now what we're doing, and I'm gonna, it's more inside baseball stuff. I figured out, all on my own, I take credit for this. I figured out that, I've got Facebook, and I'm on social media there. I wonder if this Facebook call thing works. Well, I found out it does. Alan Thomas and I have talked on it. Kaiser Schuff and I have talked on it. Actually, that's his preferred way to communicate. And so Dan and I were talking earlier today and yesterday. Hey, what are we going to do? Because we can't call in on the damn Skype number and then the Magic Jack number that Dan was referring to. Okay, Sean got Magic Jack, and he'd had it for about a year or two. And then he says, hey, this is the next best thing since sliced bread. Magic Jack is cheap, and it's going to work like crazy. So, great. Just like regular technology, phone technology, poor Dan Butcher, the bastard right here now, calls in, and what happens is that, and literally, we timed this shit, okay? Every 5 minutes, Magic Jack would hang up on Dan's ass. And I'm not kidding. I kid you not. And it got to the point where it was so ridiculous that Dan actually started counting. He actually looked at his watch and noticed specifically every 5 minutes the thing hung up on him. You can't make this shit up. God. Maddening. Hey, it looks like you've done some new stuff to your... Well, first, for people that may just have tuned in, tell folks where your big site is and what you do. And it looks to me like you've changed things a little bit on the site as well.
Oh, man, we have. We've done a lot of different things. We have, actually, with part of our company is HPP Media, which, of course, is High Plains Pundit Media. And we actually own several news websites here in the state of Texas, Oklahoma, etc. Our two largest websites, of course, are High Plains Pundit, which covers the High Plains region of the country, which is going to basically be the Texas Panhandle, Oklahoma Panhandle, going into southwestern Kansas, eastern Oklahoma, down towards the Lubbock, Texas area. Then our second largest website is called South Plains Pundit, and that is where we actually cover the Lubbock metro area, the South Plains area, which actually leads down into the Midland, Odessa area, which is the oil heart of the state of Texas. Just to kind of give you, and if anybody's not familiar with where Lubbock is, that's where Texas Tech University is. So kind of give you an idea there.
Okay.
We used to have a standalone internet radio network, which since we launched it way back in 2009 was High Plains Talk Radio. But what we've done now is we have actually integrated our internet radio station into all of our news websites. For example, at High Plains Pundit, High Plains Talk Radio is integrated there. With South Plains Pundit, it's South Plains Talk Radio. So we've integrated all of our internet radio station into all of our websites, and of course that's a win-win for us, but it's also a win-win for all of the show hosts that we have on our internet radio network, because it just gives them that many more markets and that many more outlets for their shows to be listened to.
The other thing was, I noticed you sent out an announcement that you were going to get back into radio, and you initially had said Monday through Friday, but that has changed. So give everybody an update. You're going to be back on the air, but your days have changed, and tell people what days those are if they want to listen to you, and the times and where they can where they can listen to you.
Actually, it's the same days that I've always done. Initially, we were going to try to do Monday through Friday, but my boss put the nix on that. My boss told me I could only do 2 days a week, not 5 days a week. So, of course, when my boss put the X and A on the 5 days a week, we just decided, hey, when we start broadcasting again, we're going to go back and do Sunday and Monday nights like we've always done. It'll be at 9 p.m. Central Standard Time, which is 10 p.m. Eastern, 8 p.m. your time, etc. Excuse me, it'd be 7 p.m. your time out on the West Coast. So anyway, I've been doing, I think everybody's very well aware that, I've been, over the last 2-3 years, I've just been doing special shows here and there, just whenever I felt like it.
Right.
If I wanted to do a roundtable discussion, if I wanted to interview somebody, I've done a lot of interviews where we just, did some stuff like that. I've had some really neat interviews over the last year or so, including Ted Cruz, Governor Abbott here in the state of Texas, Senator Cornyn, some of those, a little bit of some of the political folks that we've had on. But now I'm kind of where I've got everything going, when we decided, when we were launching and kind of expanding and buying some other websites and retooling a few things and stuff like that. That was kind of it's been kind of a 2-year project. And now what that allows me to do, it allows me to have a little bit of fun. I actually broadcast because basically I enjoy doing it. And so I think, when people listen to me, it's just like coming on your show. I enjoy doing it. So I like to broadcast. I enjoy it. It's kind of a neat little sideline for me. It's actually an outlet for me. And of course, when you listen to
oh hell yeah, it's an outlet.
Listen to me,
you bet it is.
Listen to me. You're going to get anything from sports to politics to some great interviews, and buddy, we'll even talk a little bit of paranormal. A lot of people, if you've listened to me over the years, know that I love to investigate ghost stories. I love to investigate a lot of explain, but usually the paranormal stuff is what I like to look into. I'm fascinated by it, and there's a lot of intriguing stories there, and especially when you start doing a lot of stuff. So we actually get into that a little bit, kind of like what kind of like what you've done on your show, with some guests you've had on.
Right, with Alan Thomas. Alan Thomas is
exactly.
a gas.
I was absolutely fascinated. He was very interesting the other night.
Does he not have great stories? I mean, this dude has.
He does.
He's talking about. He used to be a great friend to the really tall, huge dude, Richard Keel. He's been everywhere. He's done everything. He and I are like that Johnny Cash song, I've been everywhere, man. One of the things I want to point out, though, is your High Plains talk radio site. And you have just exploded exponentially in terms of people that you carry. You got Louder with Crowder. You got the Dana Show. You got the Pollsters. You got True News with Rick Wiles. You carry the Savage Nation with Michael Savage over your network. You've got the Andrew Klavan Show, the Ben Shapiro Show. Ben is smart as a damn whip. You got Bill Martinez. Let's see. You got the Wayne Dupree Show. You got Money Talk with Melanie. Great to see you carrying her. You got Rod Eccles, the Don Smith Show. The Real Side with Joe Messina, the Hagman Report. You have Rachel Mad Cow on here. The Tony Kornheiser Show. Political Gab Fest. Susan Knowles, Vox's The Weeds. You've got the Berserk Bobcat Saloon and the Sackheads Against Tyranny here. And I want to point out to people that the Sackheads Against Tyranny and Old BZ, we're ahead of The Gist with Mike Pesca. We're ahead of At Odds. We're ahead of the Terry O'Brien Show. We're the betterers than the Ezra Klein Show. The Unpleasant Blind Guy. There he is. The Herd with Colin Cowherd. You got Sports Stuff. Liberty First with Chris Ann Hall. You got Jeff Dunnett's The Lid. Okay, stop. I got to tell you a story about Jeff Dunnett's. I was on his show on Wednesday. Oh, wait. Did you hear? Because you're laughing already.
I can't wait for you to tell this one.
Okay. Okay, the deal is Jeff wants to do video, okay? And God bless him, I love the hell out of Jeff Dunnett's. But Jeff Dunnett's, it turns out, is about as technically astute as Clint. So Sackhead Sean was regaling to me this really frustrating tale of how he's trying to get Jeff to do some testing so that he can walk him through putting video, because he wants to do video in his radio show. And let's just say that wasn't very successful at all. However, my story specifically about Jeff is I had to learn Audacity. So I'm as technically adept as a nematode, but I've kind of learned myself to do stuff. So I taught myself how to run Audacity, and my wife helped me a lot to help to run Audacity. So me, this old fat dude with a huge beard and long hair in his 7th decade, I'm the dude that puts together all the audio cuts and stuff for the SHR Media Network. I'm the dude that records all the promos and puts out the various promo packs, which is still astounding to me that I do that. So I swear to God, Dan, for the past year, I have been on Jeff's case and consistently asked Jeff, can you do me a promo? Just do me a 30-second promo and I'll fix it. I'll put a music bed under it. Just do me a solid, do me a 30-second promo. And in the past year, it's been, yeah, I can do that. Give me a script, Jeff. Yeah, I can do that too. Tell me about your show. What do you say about your show? How do you typify your show? Yeah, okay, I'll get that stuff to you. I swear to God, I finally got it out of him. Just before I went on his show on Wednesday, we were talking back and forth, and it's only taken me, Dan Butcher, a year to get a 30-second script that he liked. So now, huzzah, I'm going to be recording a Jeff Dunnett's promo. That has never been done before. Folks, if you want to do it, it's only going to take you a year to get something like that done. Then here's the other thing that you like that, and I want to point this out to the folks too. If you're talking about paranormal or cosmos type stuff, you also have Star Talk Radio with Neil deGrasse Tyson, which I think that would be very interesting. Then you've got Spaced Out Radio, and that talks about the paranormal, supernatural, that kind of stuff as well. So you kind of really cover the gamut of stuff in your radio.
What we did was when we retooled, when we retooled everything, we wanted to be a truly balanced outlet. Fox News claims to be fair and balanced, but on our radio side, it's all talk radio, and so I decided, and I really flipped a coin, and I took a big gamble, because you'll notice that in addition, I put some pretty heavy hitters as far as sports shows go, with Tony Kornheiser and Colin Cowherd.
Oh, right, yeah.
And of course with the paranormal shows, Spaced Out Radio. Those guys broadcast out of Canada, and they do Dave Scott is absolutely phenomenal. Who's the Monday through Friday host, and of course, Bill DeGrassi Tyson. He is what he is. But we took a little bit of a gamble. We decided to add some shows from the left, and that is, of course, we added.
You got Maddow in there.
Ezra Clyde. We added Mark Pesca. Of course, we added Rachel Maddow.
Right.
And we added the folks from Vox. And of course, some of the folks from Slate that has to do with political gabfest. Probably the more interesting show that we've added is, of course, the posters, and that's Margot O'Mara and Kristen Anderson. Of course, Margot is a Democrat poster, and Kristen is a Republican poster. So you have a daily debate between those two. So it's a very interesting show. On that one, you actually hear from the left and the right on the same show, and they're actually really good friends in life. So we kind of took a gamble. We thought, you know what, we're going to put it out there. This is the left has a lot of their stuff that they put out there. And of course, the folks on the right, and the shows that I picked, I was very deliberate that I picked. I picked some ones that are usually very good debaters, some folks that are usually very good in their presentations and what they believe and what they stand for. So these are the type of folks, if you go on their shows, if you are a conservative, Republican, somebody even that walks down the center of the line, if you go on their shows, you better be very well prepared, or they will eat your lunch. About the same as if you go on the show with Ben Shapiro or Andrew Klavan.
Ben Shapiro.
You go on one of those shows.
Oh, yeah.
If you're not prepared, they will eat you alive. And that's what we wanted to put together. And quite honestly, some people went, "Whoa, why did you do that?" And I made a statement, hey, you know what? Our editorial stances have never changed on our news websites. We do lean to the right. Most of the time we walk right down the middle. Sometimes we have a little bit of a libertarian bent where we will take a slight left turn on some social issues, but that's who I am and always have been. And that's the way our editorial has always been with my website. So we wanted to kind of, we wanted to actually be the first one out there. And I'm trying to think, as far as internet radio shows, you're either a leftist station or you're a conservative station. I'm one of the few.
That's pretty much
probably
true.
You can count on one hand that presents both shows, both types of shows, mixed in with sports, news, as well as the unexplained, man.
By the way, I point that out because my wife occasionally listens to this show, and I mention this because she is a great consumer of all things paranormal. I mean, she can mention all sorts of people on all sorts of shows that I haven't listened to. She listens to them late at night. And the reason I mention the paranormal thing is because she's going to be jazzed to find out that there's a new show that she hasn't heard yet. I can't. Neil deGrasse Tyson, I think she knows who he is, but the other guys, I would recommend to her if she happens to be listening. Hey, go over to High Plains Pundit Radio And go scroll down to the very bottom, and you'll see the two paranormal type shows, and she might actually want to listen to those. Tonight, we've got so much stuff. Unfortunately, this will probably be the last time that you ever hear me and Dan together, ever. It may be the last time that we converse together, because tomorrow is going to be the end of the world. I talked about that on Tuesday and a little bit on Sackheads. So what I have said is, to the kids that may be listening, if your teachers are insisting that you do your homework, screw it. You don't have to do your homework tonight. It doesn't make any difference. Clean your fish tank, balance your checkbook, and generally all will be well. But before we start into the stuff with Dan, I want to laugh at people first. So we're going to start with this particular segment.
It's time for happy stories and good times.
So here's a happy story, and I love this because Dan and I both love to laugh at leftists. And here's a great laugher. This is a knee slapper and a laugh riot. Because Seattle is so left-leaning, Seattle's $52 million streetcar fiasco is the latest setback for the city's anti-Trump mayor. Oh, you're going to love this one, because I love Seattle. They're so understanding. Seattle's anti-Trump mayor, Jenny Durkan, may be on track for a political backlash. Her city's $52 million money splash on public transit appears doomed because new taxpayer-funded streetcars won't fit the existing tracks.
Yes.
Durkan's office has braced city residents for that possibility, the Seattle Times reported. The Seattle Department of Transportation reportedly ordered 10 new streetcars last year to help expand the Seattle streetcar system by linking the two existing streetcar lines. Well, on its face, maybe that sounds good, but the streetcars are also reportedly heavier and longer than the ones currently in use, raising concerns about whether they'll be used at all. It appears the error will require either a change order for design, and the streetcar manufacturers aren't going to charge you for anything like that for a redesign, or the streetcars, or they incur new costs for construction of new or retrofitted maintenance barns. I love that. I absolutely love that. That's great. Here's also one. I'm sorry, Dan, go ahead.
Well, let me while we're making fun of Seattle.
Oh, yes.
Let's make fun of the now infamous Pronto bike share program they had. You know, they had this wonderful idea.
Right,
where they were going to
right.
put public transportation out. You know, the Explore, Dream, Discover bicycles that you would rent by the hour.
Right.
And, of course, the folks in Seattle thought, hey, you know what? They'll work on the honor system and da-da-da-da-da. Well,
sure.
They had a problem with the bikes being stolen.
No.
It's not paying for them. So they ended up having to shut that program down. And now here's one more. Now, I just want to share this because Seattle, you have to remember, Seattle is one liberal failure after another, whether it be public transportation, whether it be the minimum wage that was running restaurants and every mom and pop business you can imagine out of business, blah, 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 blah. How about the they were actually proposing building bike lanes. The cost of the bike lanes, are you ready for this, BZ? And I know everybody that's watching on video knows they're sitting down. Would have cost around $12 million per mile.
Now, folks.
We're going to build bike lanes through the city at a cost of literally $12 million per mile. That actually told the voters it would cost about $860,000 per mile. So once again, Seattle, liberal utopia, complete and utter failure with their utopian ideas, my friend.
We got about 1 minute before the bottom of the hour break. But you have to ask yourself, though, that amount of money per mile, and my first thought was, really? Are you fucking kidding me? That amount of money for paint? Because what you have to do is you have to delineate a separate lane. It has to be painted. Maybe you'd expand the width of a bike lane, like 5 feet, 6 feet, something like that? So it would take some asphalt and a lot of paint, white paint, and it's, how much did you say it was a mile?
12 million.
Okay,
and they
so
had originally told the voters in the initial proposals it would cost. Well, let's just round it up to about $1 million per mile.
How do you even fucking feature $1 million a mile for paint and a couple of some asphalt? That's okay. So you have to ask yourself, into whose pockets is all of that money going? Because it ain't going to a bike lane. You can be damn sure of that. Folks, we're talking to Dan Butcher. We're going to be right back after this.
You're listening to the SHR Media Network.
The new show on the SHR Media Network, Sackheads Against Tyranny. On shrmedia.com. Go there quick like a bunny, 11 p.m. Eastern, 8 p.m. Pacific, every Wednesday. Live and direct on the SHR Media Network. shrmedia.com. Be there.
Human by race, Christian by faith, American by nationality, and conservative by choice. Reverend Ralph J. Chittum Sr. is the right guy on SHR Media from 8:05 to 9 p.m., Monday through Friday. And if on the rare occasion I am ever wrong, I will still always be right. The right guy on SHR Media.
When dirty politicians, shadow governments, and deceptive Islam blind the world with fake stream media smoke, their only fear is one man with a cane. I'm Dave Milner. Join me through shrmedia.com, highplanestalkradio.com, and the Western Free Radio Network at Spreaker, YouTube, and iTunes for a different perspective weekly on the Unpleasant Blind Guy. And catch me on Jeff Mitchell's EDL Radio on blogtalkradio.com. There's
no surrender ever,
because truth is not always pleasant.
Hey, this is Michael Wright.
And I'm Shannon Wright.
Join us for The Right Way with Shannon and Mike, Monday through Thursday from 7 to 9 a.m. right here on SHR Media.
Why are they joining us?
For fun things like sports, politics.
Oh, maybe some news and entertainment?
And all kinds of other things.
Money and recipes and events, all kinds of stuff.
Yeah, so join us Monday through Thursday, 7 to 9 a.m. here on shrmedia.com.
Hey, who's going to take Sean's chair?
I'll run the buttons if you want.
The what?
The slider thingies.
The
those
what?
things.
We have those?
Yeah, right over there.
Where?
It's on the board. That damn technology.
Fucking technology.
I know. What are we going to call it?
Call what?
The show.
What?
The show.
What show?
The new show, Wednesdays. Every Wednesday on shrmedia.com. 11 p.m. Eastern, 8 p.m. Pacific. Sackheads.
Against tyranny.
There you
go. Against tyranny.
I like that. Let's do it.
You guys are porked.
Hello. I'm Tim Hart. I'm the guy BZ hires due to his shameless contract with the SHR Media Network to voice his promos. He'd like me to tell you that the bloviating Zeppelin's Berserk Bobcat Saloon radio show can be found on SHR Media Network, Spreaker, and YouTube every Tuesday and Thursday night at 11 p.m. Eastern and 8 p.m. Pacific, featuring right thinking from a left brain and doing the job the American media maggots won't. You'll find that the speech is free, but the drinks are not. There, in the saloon, just when safety pin manufacturers are running out of metal for the diapers of the leftists, BZ is sending his personal drones of freedom into the wheelhouses and ossicles of lovers of sovereignty and liberty nationally and globally. Broadcasting behind enemy lines in occupied California, BZ swears that no rights were harmed in the making of this promo.
It's your business diva here, Melanie Collette. I am inviting you to a front row seat as I discuss some of the most intriguing details of wealth and finance with today's movers and shakers in the world of business. Listen in and discover financial truths on a global, domestic, and household scale. Uncover topics that will impact your wallet today and in the future. Money Talk with Melanie airs Monday through Friday, 5 p.m. East, 2 p.m. West, right here on SHR Media and High Plains Pundit Talk Radio. You can't afford to miss it.
Conservative media done right. You're listening to the SHR Media Network.
Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children of all ages, you're listening to the Bloviating Zeppelin's Berserk Bobcat Saloon radio show. Live and direct on the SHR Media Network, and I am ensconced here within this sumptuous and palatial studio. The studio itself has changed. Maybe I'll make a video indicating what it looks like now. A few things have changed across the way. The chair has changed. There's going to be a new flag behind here where the curtains are now and the various lights. I got a thin blue line flag, a 3-foot by 5-foot thin blue line flag, which is going to go up here behind me in the not too terribly distant future, probably next Tuesday. God willing and the creek don't rise, because there's a problem with that. The Blood Moon 2018, the world is prognosticated to end tomorrow, Dan, as a matter of fact. So if
nice knowing you, BZ.
Yeah, it was really nice knowing you too. But don't think that wasn't the reason that I wanted to have you on tonight, because I wanted to say goodbye to my good friend Dan Butcher. Very sad thing indeed, if you believe that kind of stuff. Here's what I found out about the Blood Moon. Apparently there isn't going to be another one just like this until like 2123, at least another century. But what I also found out about the Blood Moon, so if tomorrow night before you die, you decide that you're going to go outside in Texas, in California, it doesn't make a difference. We in the United States will not be able to see the full blood moon. Europe, right, Africa, all those bastards are going to get to see it. The United States? No, we don't get to see the blood moon. So, for that reason, I submit, we're not going to die. The people that actually get to see the blood moon, they may feel a little sick. But the people in the United States, fear not, we will be here all along. So let me ask you, Sir Dan, in California, it's been damn hot. It's been oh, God, who's that guy that Robin Williams, Adrian Cronauer, who was the character that Robin Williams did in Good Morning Vietnam, the scene I will never forget. It's hot, damn hot. Yeah, well, sadly, about 3 days ago, that guy, Adrian Cronauer, just passed away. So, regrets to Adrian Cronauer. What a guy. And, of course, Robin Williams passed away. Well, he didn't pass away. He committed suicide because he was having some serious medical issues. And I'm just decided that he didn't want to go on. That's a loss. That's a very sad loss. The other thing I discovered on the way over here is today or yesterday, I don't recall which. Only us old farts will remember this. Jim Nabors passed away at the age of 87. Jim Nabors was on, he was originally on the Andy Griffith Show, and then he had his own show, Gomer Pyle USMC. And Jim Nabors was one of the first, to see Shazam! To see and hear Jim Nabors as an actor, you wouldn't think that this guy had an operatic voice. His voice was incredible. And then he was one of the first dudes in Hollywood to come out. He was gay as well. And Jim Nabors passed away. We had some good times with Jim Nabors. I want to start this out. We've got so much stuff to talk about. Oh my God, but I want to play you this cut and get into a whole bunch of articles and a whole bunch of topics that I want your input on, Dan. Here's Donald Trump, and he went to U.S. Steel today. And when he was in U.S. Steel, it's like more winning. U.S. Steel, by the way, is open again.
I keep my promises, and I keep my promises to your industry, and I keep my promises to the workers of this country. 4 months ago, I stood alongside steel workers just like you, and I announced that to defend our national security, we were placing a 10% tariff on foreign aluminum and a 25% tariff on foreign steel. That very same week, U.S. Steel announced it was restarting production right here in Granite City.
That's so cool.
And bringing back far more than the original estimate of 500 jobs. A lot more than that now. And just last month, U.S. Steel announced the reopening of the second blast furnace, far ahead of schedule, meaning almost 1,000 jobs, and those are good-paying jobs. Very soon, these amazing workers will once again be pumping out 2.7 million tons of raw American steel every single year.
I can't wait. That was great news. That wasn't just okay news. That was great news. But that leads directly to this. Well, first, Dan, any thoughts about going to U.S. Steel? I mean, he's obviously talking to the people that voted to him. But damn it, Jim, this guy is keeping presidential candidate promises left and right, for God's sake. Okay, Dan. Did you, let's look at the phone. Okay. Dan, call back. You apparently got disconnected in some fashion, so I'll wait. In the meantime, what I want to point out to everybody is this. President Trump went to U.S. Steel today and talked about that. And do you remember? And he talked about trade. And he talked about the trade wars, and everybody said that, oh my God, President Trump is creating these massive trade wars, and we're going to get crushed. We're going to get creamed because Russia will eat our lunch, and China will eat our lunch, and specifically the European Union and Canada, my God, they're going to eat our lunch. And everyone was saying, all the trade wars, all that stuff, my God, we're all going to die. Well, wait a minute. Didn't everybody say over Korea that we're all going to die? Didn't everybody say over Russia we're all going to die? Didn't everybody say over the environment and reducing the regulations we're all going to die? And then the tax breaks. Oh, my God, we're all going to die. Because people walked away with bonuses the likes of which the Democrats want to take away from you, and also the economy, we're all going to die. So the bottom line is, we're basically just all going to die. And so what they're saying is this is really what's going to happen.
Human sacrifice, dogs and cats living together, mass hysteria.
That's it, dogs and cats living together in mass hysteria. That's what was going to happen. Well, what didn't happen is that everything didn't explode and we all didn't die. And it would appear that what I kind of call the DTDs, the Donald Trump doomsayers, every damn time they've been proven wrong. This is an article from the Washington Times. So after all this doomsaying, earlier this week, on Tuesday, this is what happened. And he was doing this all along. Trump struck a trade deal with the European Union. And that announcement followed his meeting with the European Union commissioner by the name of, I think it was Juncker, Juncker. So President Trump struck a trade deal, it was Wednesday, with the European Union, reaping significant concessions. Well, stop. Concessions. Mikhail. Concessions from the EU. Wait, didn't everybody on the left, the LDAM, the leftists, the Democrats, the American media maggots, didn't they all say and swear that, oh no, you're going to have this trade war and America is going to get crushed like the dirty little maggot that they are, and that evil Donald Trump? Well, that didn't happen. he struck a trade deal with the European Union, and he got concessions. Top EU officials moved to avoid an escalating tariff war with the United States. The agreement seeks to eliminate all tariffs and trade barriers and eliminate all subsidies on non-auto industrial goods, which was the deal pushed by Mr. Trump. This is a very big day for free and fair trade, Mr. Trump said in announcing the deal in the Rose Garden with the European Commission President Jean-Claude Juncker by his side. Mr. Trump called the deal a new phase in the U.S.-EU relationship. The deal also included, dig this, the deal also included the EU importing more U.S. soybeans, lowering industrial tariffs, and working on an agreement to import more liquefied natural gas. Well, maybe it is national gas because it comes from the United States. Anyway, importing more LNG from right here in the United States. So, isn't that exactly... And I'm going to play this cut again because it's so wonderful and I love the hell out of it. And I love the schadenfreude involved with this. Isn't that exactly what President Trump said that he was going to do when he took Germany to task for being beholden to Russia for fuel? That's exactly what he said. He sat down at a table during that NATO meeting and excoriated the holy crap out of Germany. Everybody in the United States, Mike Pompeo, etc., they're over on the right-hand side there, and the German contingent and the NATO contingent are sitting across the table. And if you've heard the phrase, I'm sure, speaking truth to power. Well, President Trump, a powerhouse himself, deigned to speak the truth to the Germans and NATO in this meeting. No one else would ever have done that. Certainly not Obama, certainly not Hillary Rodham Clinton. And listen to what he said, because he raked these fucksticks over the coal.
I think it's very sad when Germany makes a massive oil and gas deal with Russia, where you're supposed to be guarding against Russia, and Germany goes out and pays billions and billions of dollars a year to Russia. So we're protecting Germany, we're protecting France, we're protecting all of these countries. And then numerous of the countries go out and make a pipeline deal with Russia where they're paying billions of dollars into the coffers of Russia. So we're supposed to protect you against Russia, but they're paying billions of dollars to Russia. And I think that's very inappropriate. And the former chancellor of Germany...
Listen to this. This is also the great part. A former chancellor of Germany is in on the deal, too.
Is the head of the pipeline company that's supplying the gas.
That is great. Okay, we got Dan Butcher back. And Dan, we were just talking about the deal that Trump just got. He got concessions from the European Union, and everybody was saying, oh my God, the world is going to end, not just on Friday, but it's going to end because all these tariff wars were going to happen. And then Trump pulls the rabbit out of the hat.
Well, here's the thing. Everybody keeps, and I've been saying this from the day he announced that he was running for president, that he was going for the GOP nomination. People, for some reason, they just have such a blind hatred for the man.
Yes.
And that's really the what it comes down to. They just have such a blind hatred. They're so scared of him, so intimidated that it doesn't matter what he does. Here is this guy. Everything that he has done so far. Yeah. Does he have a big mouth? You're damn right he does.
Yeah, of course.
Does he occasionally say some stupid stuff?
Hell yeah.
Yeah, he does. But you know what? He's human. He is who he is. But you know what? Everything that he touches, as so far, whether it is dealing with the tariffs, dealing with the EU, dealing with China, dealing with the nuclear situation with North Korea, whether it's dealing with he's not having any. He's had a couple of judicial nominees that have had to withdraw because of personal issues, stuff they've done, little controversy there. But the
that happens
that he is having
every admin.
putting judges on the courts is unprecedented. What you're seeing there, folks, he's fundamentally reshaping the courts here in the United States of America with the nominees and the people that he's putting on the bench right now. Very, very quietly, not a lot of flash. He makes headlines because of his Twitter account. He doesn't make headlines for all of the great things that he has accomplished. Very quietly and very steadily, he is building what is going to be, unless there's just some type of major scandal that happens, very quietly building a presidential legacy that's going to be one of the, quite honestly, could be one of the best that we've ever seen from a modern president, BZ.
Folks are saying, people on the Democrat side are starting to say things similar to, well, I think we might just have to resign ourselves to a Donald Trump presidency until 2024. But my God, at 2024, are we ever going to kick some ass? But the funny thing is, just like you say, Dan Butcher, all the stuff that he promised, he's doing his level best to make sure that it comes to fruition, and he's been resoundingly successful, which is why the LDAM can't have anything to do with it. The leftists, the Democrats, the American media maggots are going to shoot him down. Well, wait, stop, consider this just for a second. This guy, the guy with the dead orange cat on top of his head, is made of Teflon. Stormy weather couldn't take him down. Stormy Daniels, Stormy Weather, whatever that whore was, whatever her name was. All of the other things that they've tried to make huge issues of, it doesn't stick. It doesn't resonate. He's still here. He still wakes up every day in the morning after having a massive 4 hours of sleep. And guess what, LDAM? He's still the president of the United States. Now they're talking about Mueller's going in and investigating some of the tweets that he's made. There was a professor on Tucker Carlson tonight who said, yeah, they can go ahead and create some kind of an investigation for that, but there is no crime in utilizing the First Amendment at all. This stuff will fade into the wind because, Dan Butcher, you and I both know. Trey Gowdy said this last night also he said this to Tucker Carlson. He said that Adam Schiff is essentially one of the worst human beings that Trey Gowdy has had the displeasure to meet in quite some time. But he also said this, which was, for Trey Gowdy, he was usually very measured. Trey Gowdy said, because you know for a fact, if Adam Schiff really had anything, and if Robert Mueller really had anything, they would have leaked it by now, and I've said that for quite some time, and it ain't here. It hasn't come yet. So where is the there? Is there a there, Dan Butcher?
Well, let me give you a couple. Yeah. Well, no, there's not.
No, there isn't.
Number one, look at how fast and Democratic leadership is running away from any talk of impeaching Donald Trump now.
Yeah.
Because they know there's nothing there. They are running as far as they possibly can from that. Days that are running, they are absolutely shutting them down about talking about impeachment because there's nothing there to impeach him for. Now, let's come back to social media for a minute.
Okay.
The first president that was very, very effective and very successful at using social media was, guess who? Barack Obama. Now, Barack Obama used Facebook. He loves Facebook. And even today, he still loves Facebook Live. He loved Facebook. He loved engaging via Facebook, doing everything with Facebook. And, everybody, look at what a trendsetter Barack Obama is. Look at how he's coming directly to the people with what he's saying on social media. So fast forward, you have, a year and a half into his presidency, another president that is, I would say, arguably more successful at using social media. He's certainly successful in using social media to quiet down any attacks against him. He's very quick to respond. But he's not doing it via Facebook. He's doing it via Twitter.
Right.
That is his medium of choice. But yet, really, now, the main difference is Donald Trump is more direct, more blunt. He says exactly what he says, versus Barack Obama, who pussyfooted around about what he was trying to say. And that intimidates people. It makes them scared when you tell them the truth and you're speaking exactly what's on your mind and from your heart. It really intimidates them and it scares them. So what do? We're attacking Donald Trump for being successful. Now, once again, he says some really asinine and stupid things sometimes.
Oh, hell yeah.
But he's human.
Hell yeah.
He's not a politician. He's not a polished politician. So he's going to do that. He's going to go off the script and say stuff that a normal politician would not say. Whether you like it or not, whether you agree with him or not, it is what it is. But bottom line is he's very effective with it. And here you have him even more successful using social media to further what he's trying to do with his presidential agenda than Barack Obama. Barack Obama, success. Donald Trump, he's a traitor to the country for doing what he's doing. But
right.
Yet, their approach is one and the same.
It's all this incredible hypocrisy.
Yes.
About another minute of this cut, and then I'm going to wrap things up with this and tell everybody in the clear what happened.
Ultimately, Germany will have almost 70% of their country controlled by Russia with natural gas. So you tell me, is that appropriate? I mean, I've been complaining about this from the time I got in. It should have never been allowed to have happened. But Germany is totally controlled by Russia.
He's spanking their ass in public.
Because they were getting from 60 to 70% of their energy from Russia and a new pipeline. And you tell me if that's appropriate, because I think it's not. And I think it's a very bad thing for NATO, and I don't think it should have happened. And I think we have to talk to Germany about it. On top of that, Germany is just paying a little bit over 1%, whereas the United States, in actual numbers, is paying 4.2% of a much larger GDP. So I think that's inappropriate also. You know, we're protecting Germany, we're protecting France, we're protecting everybody, and yet we're paying a lot of money to protect. Now, this has been going on for decades.
Because no other president has had the balls to mention this.
This has been brought up by other presidents, but other presidents never did anything about it because I don't think they understood it or they just didn't want to get involved. But I have to bring it up because I think it's very unfair to our country. It's very unfair to our taxpayer. And I think that these countries have to step it up, not over a 10-year period. They have to step it up immediately. Germany is a rich country. They talk about they're going to increase it a tiny bit by 2030. Well, they could increase it immediately tomorrow and have no problem.
That's gorgeous. That's incredible. That's what people in the United States have been wanting a president to say to these people for years and years and years, to the point this is what actually occurred. We implemented the Marshall Plan. We brought Europe back to its feet. And in the process of doing that through NATO, we also declined, or we said basically that, hey, with our military might and our great largesse, courtesy of the American taxpayers, we're going to make sure that we cover you militarily. So all the money that these socialist, idealist countries got to spend on their own social welfare, and to try to make each and every one of the European countries a social welfare state, that came on the heels of the American taxpayer. While we had to fund their being covered, they didn't spend that money on their military. They spent it on their people. And guess what? The Americans, the American taxpayers, people in the United States, we didn't have that luxury. We didn't have that luxury. So all the things that people are saying, well, Europe is this. It's a wonderful social welfare program. Yeah, it's a wonderful social welfare program that you, the American taxpayer, got to fund. That was your money being spent on them over in Europe. So bottom line is we got about 1 more minute before the top of the hour break. So what was President Trump doing? What he was doing is he was negotiating in plain sight on the world stage, and he was shaming the shit out of Germany in the process. He was also sub rosa saying, because I just played the cut right there, what he was saying is, hey, check it out. The U.S., we can supply natural gas to you. We have a country that happens, oddly enough, to be jam-packed with natural gas. Folks, we're talking to Dan Butcher of High Plains Pundit News. We're going to take a break. Be right back. Go nowhere. Get a cigarette. Get a beer. But come right back.
You're listening to the SHR Media Network.
The new show on the SHR Media Network, Sackheads Against Tyranny. On shrmedia.com. Go there quick like a bunny, 11 p.m. Eastern, 8 p.m. Pacific, every Wednesday. Live and direct on the SHR Media Network. shrmedia.com. Be there.
Human by race, Christian by faith, American by nationality, and conservative by choice. Reverend Ralph J. Chittum Sr. is the right guy on SHR Media from 8:05 to 9 p.m. Monday through Friday. And if on the rare occasion I am ever wrong, I will still always be right. The right guy on SHR Media.
When dirty politicians, shadow governments, and deceptive Islam blind the world with fake stream media smoke, their only fear is one man with a cane. I'm Dave Milner. Join me through SHRmedia.com, HighPlainsTalkRadio.com, and the Western Free Radio Network at Spreaker, YouTube, and iTunes for a different perspective weekly on the Unpleasant Blind Guy. And catch me on Jeff Mitchell's EDL Radio on BlogTalkRadio.com. There's
no surrender, ever.
Because truth is not always pleasant.
Hey, this is Michael Wright.
And I'm Shannon Wright.
Join us for The Right Way with Shannon and Mike, Monday through Thursday from 7 to 9 a.m. right here on SHR Media.
Why are they joining us?
For fun things like sports, politics.
Oh, maybe some news and entertainment?
And all kinds of other things.
Money and recipes and events, all kinds of stuff.
Yeah, so join us Monday through Thursday, 7 to 9 a.m. here on SHRmedia.com.
Hey, who's going to take Sean's chair?
I'll run the buttons if you want.
The what?
The slider thingies.
The
those
what?
things.
We have those?
Yeah, right over there.
Where?
It's on the board. That damn technology.
Fucking technology.
I know. What are we going to call it?
Call what?
The show.
What?
The show.
What show?
The new show, Wednesdays. Every Wednesday on shrmedia.com. 11 p.m. Eastern, 8 p.m. Pacific. Sackheads.
Against tyranny.
There you go.
Against tyranny.
I like that. Let's do it.
You guys are porked.
Hello. I'm Tim Hart. I'm the guy BZ hires due to his shameless contract with the SHR Media Network to voice his promos. He'd like me to tell you that the bloviating Zeppelin's Berserk Bobcat Saloon radio show can be found on SHR Media Network, Spreaker, and YouTube every Tuesday and Thursday night at 11 p.m. Eastern and 8 p.m. Pacific, featuring right thinking from a left brain and doing the job the American media maggots won't. You'll find that the speech is free, but the drinks are not. There, in the saloon, just when safety pin manufacturers are running out of metal for the diapers of the leftists, BZ is sending his personal drones of freedom into the wheelhouses and ossicles of lovers of sovereignty and liberty nationally and globally. Broadcasting behind enemy lines in occupied California, BZ swears that no rights were harmed in the making of this promo.
It's Your Business Diva here, Melanie Collette. I am inviting you to a front row seat as I discuss some of the most intriguing details of wealth and finance with today's movers and shakers in the world of business. Listen in and discover financial truths on a global, domestic, and household scale. Uncover topics that will impact your wallet today and in the future. Money Talk with Melanie airs Monday through Friday, 5 p.m. East, 2 p.m. West, right here on SHR Media and High Plains Pundit Talk Radio. You can't afford to miss it.
Conservative media done right. You're listening to the SHR Media Network.
I happen to like this song too. And yes, you are listening to the SHR Media Network. This is BZ, the Bloviating Zeppelin, on the Berserk Bobcat Saloon radio show, live and direct in the sumptuous and palatial SHR Media studios. Sackhead Sean happens to be in the other room right over there, and I may be able to convince him to come on for the last half hour because he's got to take care of a few other things as well. But hey, it's Sackhead Sean that's he's taking care of the studio. He's upgrading a bunch of stuff. If I could just get him to get the phone system to work. Dan, can you talk to Sean and see if you can get him to work on the phone system? Because I've tried. I know he's really busy. Poor guy. He's having a... he is so damn busy with his work and everything else.
Don't let him fool you.
We were talking about... I'm sorry, go ahead, Dan.
Get his ass to work.
Yeah, no kidding. That's what I say. Stop fooling around. Get in here. Fix the phones. Darn it. Anyway, folks, we're talking to Dan Butcher of High Plains Pundit Daily News, and that's where you can find him. We're also talking about President Trump and the trade wars that weren't, and the fact that Donald Trump now is getting concessions as of yesterday from the European Union, and he went to U.S. Steel today, and the steel workers opened up 2 new factories that were closed under the Obama administration. So when we talk about the tariffs, when we talk about trade wars, let's do the math, is what I say. Here's the deal. The U.S. and Europe, they comprise about 50% of the trade on the entire damn planet. Right about now, what I'm theorizing is that after hearing about this deal with the European Union, China has probably made a couple of phone calls in kind of a back-channel manner, and they're trying to figure out how they don't get their asses left behind in trade. And then I also submit this. Canada is not sufficiently intelligent under Trudeau to see what is right in front of his face, because my guess would be Canada, unless they get shamed again, they ain't going to get on board. But again, it's more winning. My God.
You know, up until November of 2016, the Chinese had long held the upper hand in negotiating with the United States when it came to any type of trade deals, currency, anything having to do monetarily. And that all changed very quickly the very next day with President-elect Donald Trump.
Yeah.
But it's going to be very interesting because I'm going to be honest with you, BZ. You know, Trump dealing with the EU on trade is peanuts and child's play compared to what he's going to have to do with the Chinese. Now, when we start getting down to some serious negotiations, dealing with renegotiating the trade deals, right? Where they are on a much more level playing field for the United States with China. That's when the big boys are going to come to the table.
Yes,
and that's where we're going to see. And Trump's just. I'm going to tell you right now, Trump has just been warming up, dealing with North Korea, dealing with the EU, etc. Now he's fixing to have to. He's long talked, even before he ran for president, he's long talked about having to deal with the Chinese and the trade differential that we have with them. And so now the big boys are going to come to the bargaining table, and we're going to see, what the art of the deal really is. And we're going to see what, we've long talked, said, hey, you know what? We need a non-politician as a president. We need somebody with a business mentality to address a lot of the issues that we have as far as government spending, health care, trade, et cetera, et cetera. Well, now we've got that. And so when we start getting it, we're going to see this. This is something that's going to happen, just coming up in the next few weeks. When the big boys come to the table, we're going to see what Donald Trump is really made of. And I'm going to tell you now of everything. And I know a lot has been made of what's Donald Trump's legacy going to be as president, especially his first term, because the first term is the real important one versus the second term.
Right.
When he's reelected, if he's reelected for a second term, then he really gets to start on a lot of his pet projects, But, the first term, you're really working on your campaign promises. People are really looking at you to see, if you were just full of shit or if you were really truthful and you are what you said you are. And so when Donald Trump gets up there, we're going to see, okay, what are you really are you really that great deal maker? Are you really the president that you promised you were going to be? And so North Korea is not going to be his legacy. Dealing away with their nuclear program, as great as that's going to be, finally ending the war officially between North Korea and South Korea is going to really, even though it's going to look great in the history books, the true sense of his presidency and of his legacy and of his accomplishments as president is going to be based on what he does with China now as far as trade. And the reason that is because you have to remember, the Chinese do not think in terms of days, months, years.
No.
They don't think 5 years down the road, 10
They
years
play
later.
long ball.
100 years, 500 years down the road. So what Trump does now, this is not tomorrow, what he does now is going to affect the United States economically for generations to come, especially with the Chinese. Is the United States going to be that economic leader that it once was? It just at least on a level playing field with the Chinese. And so he's got a lot riding on this. He's got a lot. I mean, but you know what? He doesn't seem fazed by it. He seems very confident. He seems very secure. He seems very secure with the people he's got around him dealing with this. And I will bring this up. And I live in the state of Texas, and this is going to be something that kind of is going to set the tone for this too. The state of Texas has now surpassed Iran. Think about this. The state of Texas by itself is now the third largest oil producer in the world.
Yes.
Think about that.
Yes.
The state of Texas by itself, not Alaska, the state of Texas is now the third largest oil producer in the world. And so, that gives, economically, with the massive economic engine that we have going right now, with job growth, with the growth in the gross domestic product, with the leveling of playing fields as far as trade agreements, et cetera, restoring us as the leader of the free world of freedom.
Bringing industry
we're
back.
We're not a laughing stock anymore. That is going to come into play, and the Chinese, I think, feel very overwhelmed in dealing with Trump. I really do.
Number one, I think you're right. Number two, what President Trump, in my opinion, does that a lot of prior presidents have not. I can't say he plays long ball, but he's a lot more strategic than people have ever measured him for. And I use these examples. I use North Korea, Little Kim, Rocket Man, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. So what did he get out of all of that? Because all the people were saying we're going to disappear in a mushroom cloud. Well, the funny thing is North Korea stopped lobbing rockets over Japan. They stopped lobbing missiles over Guam. And people were saying they could drop nuclear clouds all over the western seaboard. Well, that stuff stopped. Now we're getting soldiers back from the Korean War. We got 4 people back from Korea that belonged to the United States. We got South Korea sitting down with North Korea. We got the cessation of the Korean War. And that's all because of Donald John Trump and what he was doing. Then we went trade war nuts. And so now what are we getting? We're getting concessions from NATO and also concessions from the European Union with regard to trade and tariffs. Then he called out Germany, and now it looks like we're going to be selling natural gas to Germany instead of Russia. Gazprom in Russia has a crushing grip on the testicles of Europe, and now it's Donald John Trump who is starting to take that hand off the European testicular pattern, so to speak, and Russia doesn't like that as well. But now, the other thing people are saying is that they expect, one sit down with Korea, and we expect everything to be perfect. One sit down with NATO, and we expect everything to be perfect. One sit down with Putin, and everything was expected to be perfect. No, just like you point out, it's a process, and he started these processes, and it's going to take time, and it's not going to be overnight, but I fucking didn't see Barack Obama instigate any of these things. Now, you point out the powerhouse that Texas is. Number 3, the United States of America, a great deal to do with Texas, is about to step into the position of number 1 oil producer on the planet. And that's a high howdy fuck you to the rest of the world. Because why should we be held hostage to the Middle East for what I've called for quite some time blood oil or conflict oil? The sooner we can get out of the Middle East and let these people destroy themselves, as long as they don't import that shit over here, but getting conflict oil kicked to the curb and blood oil kicked to the curb and becoming self-sufficient is one of our job one projects. That's not to say that in terms of energy independence, we can't concomitantly be trying to find out if we could do something with solar or wind, etc. But that's not the answer. That's not the sole answer. Here's a case in point, and I want you to tell me about Texas after I tell you about California. It's no surprise that California is going through a heat wave right now. California has not built an electrical generation station in almost 3 decades. But California wants to import as many illegal Mexicans, etc., as they can when we don't fucking have the infrastructure to provide for the people we currently possess right now. We've spent over $100 billion, or will soon, on a train to nowhere when that could have been built. San Diego had it right. They built their very own saltwater desalinization plant, and that's really expensive. And we should have been doing that in California for quite some time. All that money spent on the train to nowhere could have been spent on building desalinization plants all up and down the California coast, but they decided not to do it. Now, the California Independent Operator, is located in Folsom, California, and they determine whether we're going to go to brownouts or blackouts, and our system is taxed like crazy right now. Now, what I submit is this, and this is why leftists are fucking insane. Imagine if California, because they want to go there by 2024, I believe, or 2026, imagine that, let's say, 75 to 80% of the non-commercial vehicles in California were fucking electric cars. And at the end of every day, all of these people driving electric cars had to connect them into, a 220 plug in the garage somewhere. And if you think we're having problems with generating electricity right now, California independent operator, you just connect, 1 million cars, 1 million electric cars to the electric grid and see if you don't crash that motherfucker. And then no one has a vehicle to get into, and all transportation stops except for commercial vehicles. That's how these cockbites don't have any idea of planning ahead. None. Zip. Zero. Now in Texas, I'm sure it's been hot as hell. But you guys, the other thing is, Texas has its own electrical generation system, doesn't it, Dan?
Yes.
And if that wasn't and you are independent, you are not connected to the rest of the grid. Am I correct?
That is correct.
Now I've been.
Here's the thing.
Okay.
Here's the thing. Texas. Once again, even people have to remember that up until 2 decades ago, Texas was still controlled by the Democrats. But even the Democrats in the state of Texas had a lick of common sense versus Democrats in the state of California.
Oh, God.
And so I always tell you, there's a big difference between Democrats here in the state of Texas versus the rest of the country. And that's why the Democrats and the liberal base are so dumbfounded as to why they've not been able to turn Texas blue. It's because they've really miscalculated even their fellow Democrats in this state, and they've miscalculated the Hispanic vote and how conservative Hispanic voters, whether they are Democrat or Republican, are in this state. The likes of the Castro brothers are far and in between. We do have liberal strongholds here, Houston, San Antonio, etc. But the bottom line is that we tend to use a little common sense here, and I can't stress that enough.
Yeah.
Even our Democrats here show signs occasionally of using common sense. They understand that unlike your elected officials in the state of California, and I will include Republicans in the state of California.
Oh, hell yeah.
Understand that you cannot bleed the taxpayers dry. There is a limit. There is not a finite amount of money out there to fund everything.
No.
There is you're eventually going to have to pay the bill on this stuff, and we tend to understand that a little better here than a lot of other states. Are we perfect? No. Are we the most conservative state? No. But I think overall, with common sense, I think we do okay here. So that's people often compare. Well, why is Texas so much more successful versus the state of California? And I always say it's because number one, the people here, Texans versus the rest of the country tend to be. This is one of the few states where you'll say I'm a Texan first, and then I'm an American second. Texans are very proud of where they come from.
That is very true.
We're very proud of our state. We're very loyal to our state. We will believe in the United States of America, not the other way around. So we believe that states should be independent and come together and work together. But you still need to maintain that state independence. That's how the founders originally envisioned the United States of America. Each state was separate, but they were united for the common defense and interstate commerce. That was it. Now, and we tend to hold that a little bit more true here. We do have our problems. We do have our leftists here in the state that, rise up occasionally and they get smacked down back with some common sense. That's the key word, common sense. And when you lose the common sense,
yeah, we've lost it.
Quite honestly, BZ, when the people stop caring and they don't give a damn, and I think that's a big problem in a lot of really strong in areas, California, the vast majority of California, the voters have some common sense. You have conservative folks. You have people that are centrist, walk right down the middle. The liberal strongholds are small urban population centers, or the big population centers that have just gone completely bonkers and mad. But the reason is they have stopped caring. They don't give a damn. And when the citizens quit caring, the common sense goes away, and that is when radical progressivism takes hold. It is very dangerous. BZ. That's what you have seen in Venezuela. In Venezuela, you let quite honestly, the people just got too carefree. They stopped caring. They stopped being informed, and when that happened, that is what's led to the complete and utter collapse of the Venezuelan markets, the system. And now the people are scratching their heads, going, "Hey, what happened here?" Well, it's because you were idiots and weren't aware and watching what was going on around you. And I want to come back to one thing real quick, and that has to do with Donald Trump. There's a common thread in everything that Trump is doing. You'll notice that whether he is dealing with the nuclear situation in North Korea, whether he's dealing with the trade agreements and the tariffs with the EU and China, whether he's dealing with Supreme Court nominees, whether he's dealing with other appointments to the courts, legislation, or what have you, he always makes sure to stand his ground. He talks tough first. He lays all his cards on the table and says, "Hey, this is what I'm going to do." And then he is very straightforward. He does not back down, and he intimidates the other folks. And that being very forward in the way he is addressing things, and being, I'll be quite honest, being very intimidating towards folks. Then he's able to strike the deals. Look at all the deals he's striking as far as dealing. Yeah, the North Koreans got some stuff, but Donald Trump knew he had to strike the deal, but strike a deal that was better for the United States versus North Korea. Strike a deal that's better for the United States versus NATO, versus the EU, versus China. And now that is what has led the Democrats, and this is why the Democrats keep saying and keep attacking, and they're so afraid of Trump, is the fact that, and very quietly behind the scenes, you're starting, because stop and think about this. Donald Trump not only has to deal with the Democrats, he has to deal with what is the complete and utter chaos that is within the Republican Party. The Republican Party is fighting amongst itself about different issues and things. Where they have so much infighting right now, they forget that they are the party in power. They forget that they are the ones that are actually having to govern the country. The Democrats, whether you agree with them or not, never had that problem. They know how to govern. They know how to get their agenda and stuff through. So Donald Trump has had to kind of lead the way on that. It had to deal with that, had to deal with the Democrats, and very quietly the Democrats have backed down from him. And and you're starting to see, and this is why I say that with the midterm elections later this year, that the way I'm kind of looking at things right now, the Republicans are going to hold the Senate, they're going to hold the House, and have a great opportunity to hold the White House in 2020, despite everything that you're hearing say. But that is because Donald Trump is staying true to himself. He's what you see is what you get. And another thing why people are afraid of him is because he is talking like the American people are talking. And what you're hearing everyday people talk about, Donald Trump is talking about. And when that happens, and when the people's voice is being heard, and the mass voice of the people is being heard, what happens? People like the Democrats lose the control of their base. When you're running strictly on identity politics, when you lose that control, when you start to lose control of the voice and what's being said, then you're on the losing end, BZ.
The other thing that's occurring is it looks like they want their base to change. It looks like they want themselves to change, and they're putting out obscene ideas. Yeah. They're putting out truly obscene ideas that make no sense. We've got 2 minutes before the bottom of the hour break. I want to point this out. Senator Elizabeth Warren, Pocahontas, came out and said recently that she wants a 50% tax rate. And isn't that a great idea for, that in midterms 101? Sure. Yeah, you want to go into your midterm advocating a 50% tax rate, not to say that we haven't had that, because we have had that in the past, but that's just insanity. They want Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez to be the new face of the Democrat Party, and they're going to push for Democrat socialism. She's about as intelligent as a house plant, one that might be in a ceramic planter, for that matter. They're just pushing left and left and left. When we come back, we're going to take a break. We're talking to Dan Butcher of High Plains Pundit Daily News. When we come back, if there's one thing that seemed to have occurred this week amongst a whole host of shit that we haven't even begun to touch yet, it would seem to me that social media is having a bad week. And something tells me they might have even potentially a worse week next week. Don't go away. Come right back, folks. This is the Bloviating Zeppelin with Dan Butcher on BZ's Berserk Bobcat Saloon radio show, live and direct from the SHR Media Network.
You're listening to the SHR Media Network.
The new show on the SHR Media Network, Sackheads Against Tyranny, on shrmedia.com. Go there quick like a bunny, 11 p.m. Eastern, 8 p.m. Pacific, every Wednesday, live and direct on the SHR Media Network, shrmedia.com. Be there.
Human by race, Christian by faith, American by nationality, and conservative by choice. Reverend Ralph J. Chittum Sr. is the right guy on SHR Media from 8:05 to 9 p.m., Monday through Friday. And if on the rare occasion I am ever wrong, I will still always be right. The right guy on SHR Media.
When dirty politicians, shadow governments, and deceptive Islam blind the world with fake stream media smoke, their only fear is one man with a cane. I'm Dave Milner. Join me through shrmedia.com, highplainstalkradio.com, and the Western Free Radio Network at Spreaker, YouTube, and iTunes for a different perspective weekly on the Unpleasant Blind Guy. And catch me on Jeff Mitchell EDL Radio on blogtalkradio.com. There's
Surrender Heather.
Because truth is not always pleasant.
Hey, this is Michael Wright.
And I'm Shannon Wright.
Join us for The Right Way with Shannon and Mike, Monday through Thursday from 7 to 9 a.m. right here on SHR Media.
Why are they joining us?
For fun things like sports, politics.
Oh, maybe some news and entertainment?
And all kinds of other things.
Money and recipes and events, all kinds of stuff.
Yeah, so join us Monday through Thursday, 7 to 9 a.m. here on shrmedia.com.
Hey, who's going to take Sean's chair?
I'll run the buttons if you want.
The what?
The slider thingies. Those
what?
Things.
We have those?
Yeah, right over there.
Where?
It's on the board. That damn technology.
Fucking technology.
I know. What are we going to call it?
Call what?
The show.
What?
The show.
What show?
The new show, Wednesdays. Every Wednesday on shrmedia.com. 11 p.m. Eastern, 8 p.m. Pacific. Sackheads.
Against tyranny.
There you
go. Against tyranny.
I like that. Let's do it.
You guys are porked.
Hello. I'm Tim Hart. I'm the guy BZ hires, due to his shameless contract with the SHR Media Network, to voice his promos. He'd like me to tell you that the Bloviating Zeppelin's Berserk Bobcat Saloon radio show can be found on SHR Media Network, Spreaker, and YouTube every Tuesday and Thursday night at 11 p.m. Eastern and 8 p.m. Pacific, featuring right thinking from a left brain and doing the job the American media maggots won't. You'll find that the speech is free, but the drinks are not. There, in the saloon, Just when safety pin manufacturers are running out of metal for the diapers of the leftists, BZ is sending his personal drones of freedom into the wheelhouses and ossicles of lovers of sovereignty and liberty nationally and globally. Broadcasting behind enemy lines in occupied California, BZ swears that no rights were harmed in the making of this promo.
It's your business diva here, Melanie Collette. I am inviting you to a front row seat as I discuss some of the most intriguing details of wealth and finance with today's movers and shakers in the world of business. Listen in and discover financial truths on a global, domestic, and household scale. Uncover topics that will impact your wallet today and in the future. Money Talk with Melanie airs Monday through Friday, 5 p.m. East, 2 p.m. West, right here on SHR Media and High Plains Pundit Talk Radio. You can't afford to miss it.
Conservative media done right. You're listening to the SHR Media Network.
Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children of all ages, welcome back to the final half hour in the Bloviating Zeppelin's Berserk Bobcat Saloon radio show. All night we've had the pleasure of speaking to Dan Butcher from High Plains Pundit News, Daily News, and you can go to his site, which is exactly that, High Plains Pundit Daily News, and find a ton of stuff that's going on with Dan. And with that, there happens to be another person in the studio. And no, it's not Demi the studio cat. Now, Demi the studio cat was sitting in the seat where you're occupied right now. Mm-hmm. And then Demi, I don't know where the hell she went. She kind of went walking off. She was laying in the sink again today after I got in here. And so she knows where it's cool and she knows where to be. She's not a dumb cat by any stretch of the imagination.
Mm-hmm. First and foremost,
yes,
you're fucking fired. Now,
well, wait, why?
So earlier this evening, hi Dan, I'm getting right down to business.
Well, hello, Sean.
Right down to business. It's bullshit. You know, I leave you alone for the studio a little bit, and I'm up the street at 802. And I'm doing my laundry. I'm with my little guy. We're hanging out.
Okay.
And, of course, I'm listening to BZ, right? Watching him on Facebook, YouTube, listening. I hear Dan in the background. Of course, I know Dan's voice.
Dan, you know what's coming, don't you?
And all of a sudden, you start bitching. Oh, the fucking phones don't work. Oh, the blah. Folks, let me tell you, let me regale you, as BZ likes to say, a few stories. I broke it. What? It. I'm at a break and nothing works. Did you unmute the mic?
I deserve every bit of this.
My favorite one is, how many times did YouTube fuck up? Come on,
okay.
BZ.
Okay.
6-7 weeks in a row, BZ calls me. I don't know what the fuck's wrong with YouTube. YouTube's not working. It's not working, Sean. It's not working. Did you do the setting adjustment to make sure that it goes public and doesn't stay private? Yeah, I did that. And then I sit down at the computer, and I go, look, there it is. It's still in private.
This is great.
Son of a bitch. That's all he says. That's all he says.
Well, if we're going to be honest, let's be honest all the way. Because, when you do YouTube, you have to drop down that little menu, and you have to click the thing that says public. But if we're going to be honest, let's also say this. You live not far from here, nope. and I used to call you if I had a technical problem, and invariably, whatever technical problem I had would pop up like 5 minutes before the damn show. So X, Y, or Z, fill in the damn blank, because I'm a techno-Luddite, would occur, and then I'd go into full pants-shitting hysteria mode and get on the phone and try to call you and go... And you could hear it in my voice.
Because, as I was walking over.
Yeah, and I'd go, Is that not true?
100% true.
Sean, and the other thing is, I'd leave you messages, and your phone, and I didn't know it until you told me, because that's what you do. You told me, is that whenever I would leave a message after the show, and I would say something similar to, hey, the blah, 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 screwed up, and then you're in the middle of a sound sleep because your phone is on, you'd hear this ding-dong, dong, when the message came in.
Ding, ding dong, ding dong, ding dong.
And so I finally realized maybe that's not the coolest thing in the world to do.
And Danny and everyone else may not know this, but BZ's a night owl. So I will get messages, and I've activated my Do Not Disturb appropriately.
Guilty.
An effort to make sure that it's off between a certain time. But I would be getting
that means it's off between the time that BZ is on the air. That's when it's off.
I'd be getting messages at 11 at night, and then he would think of something at 1 in the morning, and he'd message me again. And then about 4:30, he'd be like, "Hey, what do you think of blah blah blah?"
Guilty. Okay, guilty is charged.
And I still do it because I have to. It's BZ. Yeah, so here I am getting ripped up without a way to defend myself.
However, I
expect this from BZ.
Did you not hear that I qualified it because I said, and I actually have a memory, I said something similar to, well, it's because you have a crazy life and you're busy all the damn time. To which I throw Dan Butcher under the bus right now by Dan saying, oh, that's a load of crap.
Well, so
that doesn't really
this
happen
is where and I was done with you, old man. Now I'm going to go to the other old man on the other side of the phone. Because
oh yeah,
as far back as Danny and I go, the hours we've spent on the phone planning, working, operating, all of these different things. 3 in the morning, 4 in the morning his time, 4 in the morning my time. We would have to schedule phone calls at ungodly hours because it was the only time we were both available.
Yeah.
All of those hours that we spent together, and he's going to give me shit. He didn't defend me. He didn't defend me one time. Not once. And Dan, I'm a little hurt. I seem to recall buying you a very, very nice glass of bourbon at some point.
Okay, well, let me tell you the kind of respect you get.
Was that in Texas?
I don't know if you heard me. I don't know if you heard my mic, but Mrs. Butcher walks by. She kind of glances on the video and says, "What the fuck does Sean have on his face?" Now,
wow.
What, this?
Wow.
What's wrong with this? Huh? That's nice.
Yeah, you got to see what's on this face. My God,
she has not seen the beard coming in.
No, Mrs. Butcher doesn't like it. If Mrs. Butcher doesn't like it, it's gone. That's what it comes down to. That's it. That's it. It's gone at that point, and I can handle that. Danny, it's always a pleasure to talk to you. BZ, obviously, everyone who knows I'm just giving you guys a hard time. Thank you for having me on. Danny, it's always great to hear your voice, sir, and it's a pleasure to share the air with you yet again.
You bet, my friend.
So, what are we talking about?
Well, we were talking about
what are we talking about?
the social media crap that occurred this week. Just in the span of one day, little Zucky lost $16 billion.
Yeah,
and
baby.
Also, his stock went down 24%. That's almost.
Oh.
I think that equated to about $100 billion loss. Now that was a personal loss. $16 billion was a personal loss to Mark Zuckerberg, but I think Facebook itself lost about $100 billion, and that's because they're bleeding subscribers and users who are leaving for other platforms, and that's when I bring this issue up. This story just came out today. Now, that's about Facebook,
and I have a comment on the fall of Facebook in a minute.
Okay.
So,
if we're on Facebook, let's talk about Facebook right now. What's your thought on that?
And Dan, I don't know if you'll remember this conversation, but probably five and a half years ago, maybe a little bit longer. I know memory is a hard thing at your age, but you and I were discussing Facebook options, different social media. We were having that one of the social media meetings that we had. And you said, and I will give you all the credit in the world right here in front of God and everybody else, you said it will get to the point that Facebook will destroy itself.
Yes.
100%, hands down, that was the exact quote out of your mouth. Facebook will destroy itself because, and you and I have been talking about this for years, everyone's all up in arms the last 2 years about conservatives being shadow listed or whatever they want to call it.
Right, shadow banned.
Shadow banned. But we've been talking about this Danny, for 5.5 years that all of these social media sites have been doing it, and Facebook was the only one not getting caught at the time. But you and I would go back and forth and run tests and post things on social media on purpose to see if it was getting the same response that we would be getting if it was a non-political statement. And we were not. And that's when you said what? That.
Yeah, let me tell you this real quick, Sean, because I actually shared this. Funny you said that, because this is what I shared in the Facebook in the chat room a minute ago. I said Facebook's bad day on Wall Street raises questions about the fate of other big technology firms such as Twitter and Google, which, like Facebook, have been grappling with rising privacy concerns, congressional demands to more aggressively combat the flow of disinformation on their platforms. They're dealing with, they're censoring, they're picking and choosing who they're censoring and different things like that. Twitter saw a sharp decline after the Washington Post reported 3 weeks ago that the company was suspending fake and suspicious accounts at a record pace. Now, on the same token, they were also suspending accounts that had done nothing wrong.
Right.
They were picking and choosing, and they were being just haphazardly doing it. The Federal Trade Commission is looking into whether Facebook violated a 2011 consent decree with the agency governing its privacy practices, and when it shared data with Cambridge Analytica, and the Justice Department and Securities and Exchange Commission are examining whether Facebook's portrayals of its actions with Cambridge Analytica have been timely and accurate. Facebook has a lot of issues right now.
No.
Twitter, a lot of social media platforms have a lot of issues right now as dealing with privacy. And it all comes back to, guess what? They were picking and choosing who they were going to, and they had an agenda. They had an agenda that they were trying to pick and choose which voices they were wanting to silence, which voices they were wanting to put at the forefront, and it has come back to bite them in the pocketbook.
Yes.
Not just in the ass, but in the pocketbook. And, old Zuki boy has lost a lot of money this week.
Well, and it's one of those things, too, I've always told everyone, look, Facebook at the end of the day is a private business. Yes, it can be publicly owned, but it's still a private entity. It's not government owned.
Right.
And if they want to censor people, that's their prerogative. However, the people in this country need to respond almost by how you respond when you don't like politics, right? You respond with your vote.
Right.
Same thing with social media. You respond with your sign out. You sign out. You find a new platform. Oh, it's not as convenient. BZ, I brought this up today when I always talk about when the banks, everyone was all upset about the banks years ago, and Bank of America, it's this horrible monster, blah, 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 blah. And then the same person will pull out their card and go to a Bank of America machine and pull out money. You're like, I thought you hated Bank of America. Oh, well, I do, but they're really convenient. They have ATMs
they're all over the
everywhere.
Place. Yeah. So I still use them.
Right.
Yeah.
Same thing with
No
Facebook.
big deal.
Right? So you can bitch and moan all you want, America, but up until recently, all that bitching and moaning amounted till nothing until this week when people finally have said enough is just enough. And I'm very, very happy that people have decided to do that.
But wait, there's more. And I say this. Now, we were just talking about Facebook. Well, there's an issue that just occurred today with regard to Twitter. GOP Representative Matt Gaetz is threatening Twitter with an FEC complaint over Twitter suppression, and he says Twitter may be giving opponents an illegal advantage. This came out of the Daily Caller. Representative Matt Gaetz is considering filing a complaint with the Federal Election Commission, the FEC, over Twitter's alleged suppression of his account, the Florida Republican told the Daily Caller News Foundation on Wednesday. Gaetz was one of several prominent conservatives, including members of Congress and the chair of the RNC, whose accounts Twitter suppressed by making it harder to find them in the site's search function, and also Vice News reported on that. Of all people, Vice News, that organization, published the information also on Wednesday. Democrats This is a direct quote. Democrats are not being shadow banned in the same way, the report concluded, noting not a single member of the 78-person Progressive Caucus faces the same situation in Twitter's search. Twitter announced in May the company is going to rely on behavior-based signals to boost the visibility of some accounts and to suppress the visibility of others as part of a step to, quote, improve the health of the public conversation on Twitter. So Gates said, the evidence is piling up that I'm being treated differently on Twitter than people on the political left, and I don't like that because I enjoy the Twitter platform. I enjoy the engagement. I enjoy the candor. So now Twitter is going to find its ass in a sling, and especially if it turns out that there is an FEC complaint dropped over Twitter. And I think it would be a valid and logical argument and complaint.
I agree wholeheartedly. And I know Danny's chomping at the bit here, but look, the reality is these organizations who come out and the SEC, the Elections Commission violations are what's going to be the biggest, right? I know equal time isn't the same as it would be anymore, or as it used to be, but if you can find out that they're influencing an election through clipping free speech, if you will, well, now you have a much bigger scandal because you now have the same thing as going down and ripping out signs or I can't even think of a good analogy, but you're allowing one candidate to get more face time and another candidate to get destroyed. And it does start to you have to start arguing, are they media? Are they strictly media? Do they fall under the same guidelines as some media? Do we have to start treating them under the same thing and not just a website for social media, but is it actually a form of actual media? And I think that's a discussion that needs to be had. Am I wrong, Danny?
You know what? Here's the thing. Facebook,
hey, there's only wait. I know that. Here's the thing, and there's only 10 minutes left.
Yeah.
No, this is going to be short and sweet. Facebook is actually trying to get away from what it has become and go back to what it was. Okay, Facebook is seeing profitability not in news and rumors and propaganda. Facebook is because they've had a shakeup at the top in the leadership, and they've brought some new folks in. And they're looking at saying, you know what, the original point of Facebook, and they're going back to looking at some of the other platforms that they own, whether it's Instagram, Snapchat, what have you.
Wait a minute.
Hey,
stop.
Saying,
Dan,
you know where there's money to be made is in people sharing pictures, sharing what they're doing during the day, sharing stupid memes. Oh, and by the way,
brilliant memes.
Sharing videos where just absolutely nonsense videos. Oh, where we can stick 2 or 3 ads in a minute and a half video and make millions of dollars. That's where they're seeing themselves now. They're seeing themselves as more as going back to being a quote, a sharing platform versus what they've become, which is let's face it, a gossip platform.
Yes.
And so that's kind of, and they're trying to get away from that. But in the same token, they don't want to give up that news platform because they know that is so important. So they're trying to find a balancing act. But in doing so, they've made a lot of missteps along the way, and it's hurt their bottom line. Now, will they be able to recover? You know, Facebook is such a juggernaut. Think about you're talking about over 1 billion people a day. Think about that. 1 billion people a day use Facebook. And so, there's such a juggernaut as far as communication and different things. Will they be able to? Sure they will. But it could still cost them a lot of money. That's the big thing. They won't be able to overcome it if their stock price continues to fall and they cannot sell advertising on their platform.
Dan, I want to disagree with one point. You said it was a misstep, and I disagree with that.
No, I know where you're going.
I think it was a very intentional step, and now that it is hurting them, they're walking it back. That's really my only disagreement that I have with anything you said there.
You know what? But here was the thing. You have to remember, Sean, walking it back maybe so. But what they did was they were very deliberate in what they were doing. Okay, they went to great extents, great lengths to hide what they were doing. They went to great lengths to try to keep people from figuring out what they were doing with their algorithm and stuff like that. Much to the same degree that Google does with its search algorithm. The Facebook is trying to protect that as much as Google's trying to protect theirs. And so they made a lot of mistakes. But doing what they thought, hey, they were doing in the best interest of protecting their interest. And so you can call it walking back, you can call it a misstep. Bottom line, they fucked up. They're paying for it. And so will they make some decisions? I think so. Will they do some good? I think so. I can be honest, Sean. I have been using. I run several. Of course, I run my Facebook pages a little differently, where I have a real tight control over them versus other public pages and stuff like that. Over the years, have I been intentionally banned? No. Have I been accidentally banned?
Oh yeah.
Yes. But Facebook was very quick to correct the problem that happened. So, but I've never had a post taken down. I've never been intentionally thrown in Facebook jail. Accidentally, yes, and usually within a couple of hours, it been rescinded because of something somebody else did. But bottom line is, I've never had any problem with Facebook. Now, is it the way I manage what I do on Facebook? Yes, it is, because we do exercise a lot of control. A lot of publishers do that. A lot of publishers and people are haphazard in what they do, especially if they're real agenda-focused and agenda-oriented, versus what we do, where we understand that we do gain a lot of traffic from Facebook, being generated our way from people following us. You're talking about on one page I've got over 100,000 followers, on another page I've got 45,000. So I have a lot of audience to lose if something happens. But you know what? I don't go out of my way to sidestep. I will still post stuff that's controversial that I want people to discuss, whether it's conservative, whether it goes to the left or what have you. I want to discuss it. I don't go out of my way, but I certainly do make sure that we are watching for stuff that's going to be we do manage the page. And I think we've stayed out of trouble that way because once again, Facebook is a private website. They can do what they want to with that website. Twitter is a private website. They can do what they want to. We have rules that we have to adhere by. But once again, they were playing favorites, and it has come back. And so hopefully they've learned a lesson. We'll see.
Dan, you mentioned something earlier that I want to confirm or deny. You indicated that it is Instagram or Snapchat, are they owned by Facebook?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, now I was not aware of that. So then they have probably 3/4 of the amount of all social media.
Yes. Yeah.
You could go because kids are not on Facebook anymore. Kids, my understanding, are on Instagram.
No, kids are on Snapchat.
Mostly? Okay, all right. Then they have an even greater grab at that. But going back to the Gates article, he said, I'm not an algorithm expert, but I can tell you that my office maintains very detailed records of our Twitter engagement. And this is the telling statement. Following the change in their protocols in May, my growth was cut by 75%. Now, can you imagine if anybody on the left went public and said something similar to, you know what, my growth has been cut by 75%. And can you imagine how Facebook would be scrambling to make sure that didn't happen to that leftist organ, like Vice or Huffington Post? If they were cut 75%, the MSM, the LDAM would be all over that stuff, completely over it.
Well, yeah, then it would be a problem, right? Right now it's not a problem because the only people who are being held back are conservatives.
Right, saying they don't care about that.
Right, so they don't give a shit.
BZ, let me tell you something like this, because Facebook has actually launched a program where they are working closely with local publishers like myself. Okay, I'm a regional publisher and cover different things, and they are working with local media outlets. They're really putting a focus not on national but on local, working with local publishers to aggregate their content on Facebook, even so much as introducing monetization programs and incentives and stuff like that. And I've actually seen where a lot of people, where a lot of websites, whether they're pure conservative media or what have you, have seen dramatic drops in traffic from Facebook. Myself, as a local and regional and state publisher, I've seen my traffic from Facebook increase. So I can't complain. I've actually seen an increase in traffic. I've seen an increase in followers from Facebook. I've seen an increase in traffic, being aggregated from Twitter and different things like that. I use Twitter as simply a headline generator to get my headlines out there into search engines, stuff like that. That's what we're doing. We're using these different platforms to get the headlines out there to draw people in that they're either not on our subscriber base or not normal readers that come and whatever. But as a local publisher, I can say that I'm actually benefiting from a lot of the stuff that Facebook is doing right now.
The one final thing that I need to point out, and then we're going to have to wrap up the show, is this. It's gotten so dire at Facebook that they're even contemplating removing Mark Zuckerberg as CEO.
Yes.
And if that's not dire, if that's not serious, and if that hasn't garnered the attention of Mark Zuckerberg himself, he's a bigger fool than he could ever be, potentially.
Well, and look at what it took to get rid of Debbie Wasserman Schultz. It's the same mentality. It has to get that bad.
Well, yeah, and then the dude that was running her server, but my God, that's a story for another
year.
Oh, my God. So, thanks tonight to Dan Butcher for being on for the entire 2 hours. Thanks to Sackhead Sean for being here in the last half hour. Thanks to everybody for watching the show tonight.
Hey, before you close out.
Yes.
I have my young fellow with me here.
Okay, well.
Can he just say hi
Sure,
really
of course
quick?
he
And by the
can.
way, he was not here for the intro when I was cursing you guys all out, so everyone else knows he was not in the room for that.
No.
Come here. Just come here. Don't ask questions. Stop asking questions. Just wave and say hi. Okay. Go ahead, buddy. Thanks, BZ.
And thank you. So, Dan, thank you very much. Sackhead Sean, thank you very much. We're going to have to wrap it up. We'll be back next Tuesday. And, Dan, I got to ask before you go, are you going to have a show this weekend?
Actually, we will be starting the first weekend in August is when we're going to start.
Alrighty.
And so the actual date, hold on, let me just pull it real quick. We're going to start that first weekend with my computer, which will be August
4th.
the 5th. Will be Sunday, August the 5th, and then Monday, August the 6th will be the first two.
Okay, there you go, folks. August 5th and 6th for the first shows back again with Dan Butcher. So thanks to everybody. Thanks to Dan. Thanks to Sackhead Sean and the unnamed individual who happened to be in his chair.
Monsieur has unlocked!
Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children of all ages, thanks for listening to the Bloviating Zeppelin's Berserk Bobcat Saloon radio show, live and direct here on the SHR Media Network. If you want to contact me, you can find me on my blog at bloviatingzeppelin.net. You can find me on Twitter at BZEP, B-Z-E-P. My original intro music is by Possessed Tranquility at ReverbNation.com. Promotional consideration is by the Lockheed Martin Skunk Works and by the Boeing Corporation. If it ain't Boeing, I ain't going. And also by Pratt & Whitney Engines Thrust You Can Trust, occasionally by the Allahu Snack Bar, a little bite of Muhammad, a little bit of Muhammad in every bite. And, of course, thanks to my personal KC-135 Kettle One refueling team contingent with whom I will be consorting in less than a half hour. So thank you. Thank Dan Butcher. Thanks to Sackhead Sean. Thank you for listening live. Thanks for being involved in chat. Thanks for listening later in podcast. Have a great weekend. God bless. Take care. Be safe.
Everybody quiet down now and get some sleep.
Night, everybody.
Good night, Mama. Good night, Ben.
Good night, everyone. Good night, Mama. Good night, Daddy.
Good night, children. Good night, Daddy. Good night, Elizabeth.
Good night, John Boy. Good night, Jim Bob. Good night, Jim Bob.
Good night, Jim Bob.
What's going on? I was asleep. What's everybody doing?
Good night,
Jim Bob. Go to sleep.
Good night, and good luck.